Okay, the only thing we really need to do to prepare the blank is to drill and tap the hole so that we can screw it onto the mandrel. A word about preparation: I do tend to square these blanks up as best I can before going any further with it. It just makes it a little easier to get the hole drilled straight, to get it on the mandrel straight so that everything seats properly. It's not necessary, but it's what I do anyway, so I've already done that, so you don't have to sit there and watch me do that. It's just a matter of running it through. In this case, it's small enough I ran it through the table saw, but on bigger blanks I'll do the same thing on the bandsaw. Anyway, I've marked the center with the center marking tool, and then I've also scribed a rough circle here to show me about the biggest diameter circle that I can make on this thing. And then what I'm going to do before I put it on the lathe is I'm going to knock off these corners on the bandsaw so that it just speeds up the turning process a little bit. What we need to do now is to drill the hole right smack in the center. For this, we're going to use a 5/16 inch drill. The tap is a 3/8 16, and the 5/16 drill is the proper size for the tap. So I'll put that into the drill press, tighten it down. Now I've marked a depth of 3/4 of an inch with this piece of tape, and that's how far down I want to drill the hole. To hold it, I'm going to use this hand screw clamp. There's a lot of different ways of doing it, but for something like this I found that's probably the easiest way to do it, and it just goes on real quick. Get it nice and square to the table, and then line up the drill bit right on with my center mark. Turn the drill press on and drill my hole. I release the pressure on the bit, retract it a bit to clear the chips out of there. And drill it to my mark. And that's all set. As I said, the tap is a 3/8 16 thread, and it's what's called a bottoming tap, and that means that it taps almost clear to the bottom of the hole, shy by about maybe 1/8 of an inch, something like that. And that's why I drilled the hole 3/4 of an inch deep, even though all we need is 5/8 inch for the bottle stopper itself. Because it's not going to tap clear to the bottom. The drawback to bottoming taps is sometimes they're a little difficult to get started. You want to make sure that you get it started good and straight. Another way to do both the drilling and the tapping is to mount it on the lathe using a 4-jaw chuck and a Jacob's chuck in the tailstock, and then you can drill and tap it right on the lathe. And sometimes that's easier. In fact, if I'm doing a lot of these, that's the way I'll do it. But to get this going, I'll put it in and we'll get it started down. You want to get it started as straight as you possibly can, because you don't want to have crooked threads in there. There it goes. Okay. And then it's just a matter of turning it down as far as it'll go. Tapping into end grain like this isn't always the best option, but in this case it's the only option, so that's what we're doing. Fortunately, the mesquite is a pretty hard wood and it taps pretty well. Okay, that's as far as we can go. And then we'll just back it out again. almost there. Okay. Get the sawdust out of there and should be ready to go. Just as a precaution, because we are tapping into end grain, I'm going to squirt just a couple of drops of a thin CA glue into the hole, and that'll help to seal and solidify those threads so that they don't strip out on us, or they'll have less of an opportunity to strip out, let's say. I won't say they won't, but generally it's just a little added insurance. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to cut off these 4 corners on the bandsaw just to make turning it a little quicker and easier for rounding it out. To do that, I have a block of wood with a V cut into it, and the block sits right in there. And then lining it up with the circle I drew on there, I know how much I can safely take off. In this case, it's just about as close as I can possibly get it with this block, unless I cut a little bit of the block off. So all I have to do is turn the bandsaw on and slide it through and cut off those 4 corners. That's really all there is to preparing the blank. The next step will be to put the mandrel on the lathe, put the blank on the mandrel, and start turning.